This conference will now be recorded.
I'm going to call the Park and Rec Board meeting for Tuesday, April 21st to order. Roll call, please. I will call it. Mark Williams is here. Mark Castonia.
Here.
Deborah Lundberg.
Here.
Justin Minor is excused. He might show up here. Aideen Hess.
Here.
Chris Zerbel.
Here.
And JC Dansman is excused tonight. I think I don't have a flag in my office here, so I think we're going to disperse on the reading of the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, and we'll move on to action on the agenda. Can someone make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
Say your name first, please.
Chris.
Debbie
Chris
second.
Zerbel, move to approve.
Debbie second.
Okay, Chris made a motion to approve the agenda. Debbie seconded it. All's in favor. I'm going to go to this again. Mark, aye. Mark Castonia.
Yes.
Deborah Lundberg.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
Chris.
Yes.
Motion approved. We have no public this evening, so we're going to move on to written communications. Was there some in the packet, Susie or Rex?
I emailed it over later. It is actually a letter from the Salvation Army. It was scheduled to go into the February meeting. It is just a letter on behalf of the Salvation Army from Stephen Jant, thanking us for their assistance in the Toys for Tot program by having one of their boxes in our lobby.
I remember getting it, and I have it and everything. If nobody disapproves, I'm going to just mention it for right now. We have a copy on file. If anybody wants to see it or doesn't know about it, just ask one of us and we'll get it to you.
Mark,
Go ahead.
can I back up a second? There was nobody from the public. I thought I had seen somebody log in that I'm not sure I recognize the name. I don't know if that matters.
That's Kevin from the press.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey, Kevin. He's out there. He's just being quiet.
Okay.
We're on to number 7, action on consent agenda, which is the Park and Rec Board regular meeting from February 18th and the review of Park, Rec, and Forestry March, April expenditures.
Mark, there's a typo correction needed there on item 4A. It should read February 12th, and then item number 10 should read February 18th.
Okay.
It's within the February minutes there.
I'll move to approve with the corrections.
Dean Hess, second.
Got a motion by Chris and a second by Dean to approve the consent agenda as presented with the corrections. Roll call vote. Mark Williams, aye. Mark Castonia.
Aye.
Deb.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
And Chris.
Yes.
Okay, motion's approved. Move on to action items. Number 8A, action on bids for Ashwaubenon Park entry sign with message board racks.
Okay, I'm trying to, I've got my first little issue here, which I'm trying to work through. Jeremy, I clicked on the drawing tool and I can't drawing tool now. How do I do that?
Let's see here. We'll go back.
You should have something maybe on the top of the page, on top of the screen. To unclick on
Yeah,
that.
I've got drawing tools and I right click to see my screen, keep on clicking on the pen and it won't go back to my. Okay, I got her. Never mind.
There you
Thank
go.
you. See, it just takes a few minutes to figure things out, something new. So I'm sorry, Mark, we're on the Ashwaubenon Park sign.
Right.
Yes, we are.
All right, so this is something that we had talked about for a year or two now, about maybe doing an electronic message board out in front of Ashwaubenon. I'm going to say probably in the next. So park staff is going to be taking down the overhead sign that's been in place at the entryway by the bridge there. It's starting to rot out from the inside, so it needs to be taken down, and that'll be done within the next month. So as part of that, when we take that down, with the thought was with the number of events and the bigger events, although probably not as many this year, but with the events that we're having into Ashwaubenon, it's really becoming much busier than it ever has been for festivals, events, races, walks, the number of baseball tournaments that are being held there, the number of special events that are being held at the lake. So the thought was, with that being really the one of the cornerstone or one of the flagship parks within our system, at 75 acres and the activity that goes on there, to have a nicer sign rather than the typical wooden engraved sign that we've got at all of our neighborhood parks. And with the amount of events that are there, it'd be nice to have an electronic message board so we can be announcing what is happening within the park and what the dates are, so on and so forth. So as such, I made up some bid specs and sent them to the different sign companies. Now, the challenge doing this is you can make the bid specs similar for the message board itself, but for the actual sign, you're going to find out as you're looking through the pricing on some of on these. I mean, there's a lot of variations in what the sign looks like, and that's where the price variations are. And for a 16 millimeter message board sign, you can see that they run anywhere between $49,500 or $49,500 all the way up to $59,000 and change. So it's about a $10,000 swing. That's not necessarily in the sign board itself. It's in the construction of the sign and what you want the sign to look like. So I think that's a big part of it too, is we want something to stand out. Now, one of the standards that I used in the bid spec was I took pictures from a lot of different national park entryway signs from across the country. That's the kind of sign that we wanted it to look like. We still wanted it to look kind of old school park like for a national park entry sign, but with that electronic message board built in. And I think the companies all, that's what they submitted. I think they did a good job with that. And so we've got a lot of different options to choose from of what our sign wants to look like. The only way that we could totally compare apples to apples on this is if we would have paid someone to design a sign and then everyone bid specifically on that one sign. But how do you even narrow that down? So how we did it was we just did the bid specs for the sign. So everyone's bidding on a Watchfire 16 millimeter sign, and then the actual design of the sign and how they wanted it to look, whether they wanted, because some submitted internal illuminated lighting, some didn't, some have engraved letters, some have metal letters that are put into the sign. So there's a lot of different options for us pick from, which is why there's price variations that you see. If you take a look at this page, you're going to see the left-hand column here. We've got 4 people that submitted bids that were on time: Mackey Sign, Reinhold, 97, and Creative Sign. So the first column is for the 16 millimeter sign. The second column of numbers is for a 10 millimeter sign. Now, the sign sizes are the same, but a 10 millimeter just means there's more LED lights. So it's a sharper, clearer picture, especially as you're getting closer to it. Because as you get closer to a 16 millimeter, you'll be able to see all those individual lights. In terms of which one do we want, I'll leave that up to you. The ones we have at the community center right now and the one that we have at the PAC are both 16 millimeter, and they both work out fine. You know, which money do you want to spend on a sign, and how much sharpness do you want? It's kind of like getting on your big screen TV. Do you want to get a or do you want to get the 860 type of thing where it's maybe not, it's got a little bit of fuzziness to it. But with me, I think the board at the sign board as well as the community center are working out just fine for what we're using them for. So that's what I've got to say about that.
And you said, Rex, those are 16 millimeter?
The first column, the first.
No, the signs at the community center.
Those are 16.
Okay.
So the 10 millimeter would be even sharper than that.
Okay.
Which is why the 10 millimeter costing is more expensive. So the ones we currently have at the community center and the PAC are the 16 millimeter, which is what the first number is after every one of those bidders.
Right.
Everyone good with that, or have any questions?
One question
Rex,
I have
got a
is.
question for you. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thanks. What does watchfire mean, or what is it? Watchfire?
Watchfire is a brand name.
Okay.
They're kind of, I would say, what most companies say is the better brand name that's out there. They've got good track records. Both the community center sign and the PAC sign are both Watchfire brand signs.
Okay.
And we're comfortable with them. We're comfortable working with them, comfortable using them. We haven't had any issues with them at either one of them since they were installed. Therefore, we use that as the spec of, you know what, we like them. That's what's been working well, and that's what we'd like to go with.
Okay.
So Rex, this is unusual that you haven't selected the lowest bid. Is that basically just because of design? Or
that? And I'll, Mark, if you'll entertain me here, I will go on to that then. So I want to go over a little bit. So Elevate 97, we're just eliminating option number 2 because the sign board on here, you shouldn't even see that. But this is not the correct size board LED board on option number 2 for Elevate. So we're going to go with, for consideration, we're going with option number 1 from Elevate 97. So you can see what that looks like. When you're looking at all 4 of them, the sign boards are all going to be the same size when we're looking at the 4 signs. You can see that they did a combination of. Can you see my cursor on your your screen or not? Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see. Okay, thank you. So you can see the stone on the side. They put the board in. They incorporated some nice wood features, which, you know, we all of our signs, you know, for that national park type look. And then they've got a which kind of looks like a water flowing, which also, would be good for the park. So we liked that design. That was, that's that one. You've got a creative sign. Same type of thing. You've got your pillar. The Ashwaubenon wording on top of this sign in the white letters, that is internally illuminated. That's the only one that was submitted with an internal illumination option, which is probably why it's also, more expensive than the other ones, because the other ones do not have that internal illumination of the park. Other ones don't. I don't know if, it'd be nice to have. I don't know if we need it, only because I think the ambient light from the street lights and the roadway will be fine at night. And how many people do you need to see your park sign at 1 o'clock in the morning? Quite honestly, I don't know if we need a internally illuminated light, although it is nice. It looks beautiful. I love the design of it. So that's the next one is from Reinhold Sign. Reinhold, their design has some unique features in terms of they did some built-in planters here. This is a preformed, the Ashwaubenon on top is a preformed material, or Ashwaubenon would be etched into it. And I do want to say on this one, it's a little light in color for me, but these colors can be changed at no. So if we like a little bit darker sign, that would be an option. And if we wanted to make this top part look more woodish, this could be more brown and Ashwaubenon could be white. The colors on this can be changed and not affect the price at all. And then we've got Mackey Sign. Mackey Sign submitted again. They're all very similar. They'll have the side pillar memorial on the bottom with the log on top with Ashwaubenon etched in. And I'm guessing this is a preformed material very similar to Reinhardt's. So you've got, again, Mackey Sign, Reinhold. You've got creative.
Rex, what is the
and then
pillar?
We've got
Right.
Elevate 97.
That's
Now, we had them, sorry, just a second, Mark. We had them all put the sign up a couple of feet off the ground because we want to make sure when it snows that the snow doesn't go over the top of the sign. So that's why we are within, excuse me, we are within sign code regulations, height-wise, wise of the LED board. Everything is within sign code regulations for all of the signs under consideration. Sorry, go ahead.
Those pillars that are on the right side on Mackey's and I think Elevate.
There's a pillar on all of them.
Yeah, but on the right side, go back once. On the right side there where that pillar is, or is that just an end view? No, keep going down now a little bit.
Oh, I know what you mean. You mean over here?
Is that a step?
That's just the end view? That's just a side view. Like if you're looking at it from the different angle, like from the side, that's what it would look like from the
Okay.
Dean Hess speaking. On these signs, is there any wood component to them, or is it pretty much maintenance free?
They're pretty much maintenance free, which is what we wanted to do. They're all going to be stone that's going to be put in by a mason. And then some areas will have it's almost like a high density type of foam that's very popular in sign making right now. the two sign shops and taken a look at them, and we feel comfortable, you know, for how it lasts, that there won't be maintenance needed on it.
On your Reinhold #1 choice, the one that you have up now,
Okay.
the only concern that I might have on that would be the planters. If in fact there'd have to be consideration to make sure any plantings would not interfere with the message board.
Correct. I didn't I didn't tell them what kind of flowers or plants to put in there, so I think they just did that. But yeah, we would make sure that whatever was planted, if that's the one that's selected, let me put it that way, if that's the one that we wind up going with, we'd put appropriate things in there to make sure that nothing covered the board or came down over the lettering at the base.
Are those planters really necessary?
Well, is anything? I'll turn the question around, Dean. Is anything necessary? If nothing was necessary, all we'd have is the LED board. Everyone kind of did their own thing of how they wanted to make a sign look like their own little special thing, you know, and that's what Reinhold decided they wanted to do, is to offer some built-in planters. Now, typically we have flowers along the base of all of our signs.
Right.
With some of the other signs, we would probably do that, where we'd just be planting flowers right around the ground. These are incorporated into the sign themselves. So that's their, they felt was their uniqueness factor, you know, after they submitted it, is what they told me.
I have one of these.
That's not something that could be eliminated?
What's that?
That's not something that could be eliminated from the bid?
Well, we didn't request the bid. This is their special design to make their sign unique from the others, and everyone had that opportunity to do that. We actually liked the planters built in. You know, I talked with Tim, our forester. By having these built in like that, then they don't need to plant anything on the bottom, and quite honestly, probably critter damage.
Rex,
For what it's worth, I have.
on the Mackey sign, the lettering in Memorial Park on the bottom, are those metal, and are they movable, those letterings?
Well, they're not removable, because they're going to be, typically what it is there's like a dowel on the back side that gets embedded into the stone, that can be taken out. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess it doesn't say specifically. Well, let me see here. Bottom concrete slab, steel posts. So Memorial River Park, the letters are 10 inches tall, thick, flat cut aluminum finish, and they are stud mounted. So there'll be dowels behind the letters that will be embedded directly into the stone in place.
For what it's worth, I've got one of these in front of my store up on Ridge. Not quite as fancy. Mackie put it in. I've had it. I've been there, I think, 4 years now. It's a beautiful message board. They've treated me very well. If I've ever had an issue, which is very few, and it's been very minor, they've always gotten back to me immediately. And what we did, we don't have the planters on, like the Reinhold, I think it was, on it. We've got plants around the base of it that I think Andy Kay's put in.
Sure.
That survived all the winters and everything. That they come back fully. I've been really happy with what Mackie did with me.
No, in my business too, Rex, I've used just about all these companies except Elevate. I haven't had a problem with any of them, you know, so I mean, if you can change colors on some of the lettering and everything, I don't think we have a problem with any one of them. I think Reinhold did a lot of background work with you on this though too, didn't they?
They did. They helped me with the bid specs because I don't really know too much about LED signs and what watch fire, 10 versus 16 millimeter, what the pros and cons are. So they helped guide me through the process in terms of a bid specs anyway, for the writing portion of it. The design is their design now. I had nothing to do with.
Question for Mark. What direction is the message board going to be facing?
So the pillar will be towards the creek. On any of these signs, the pillar will be towards the creek.
And the message
so you will be able, it'll be facing in a east-west direction, so you'll be able to see it. It's a two-sided sign. So there'll be a message board that you're looking at, in each one of these, this thing. You'll be able to see it coming from the north or coming from the south.
Oh, okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yep. Again, very similar to the signs that we have at the community center in the pack. All right.
Yep.
Other questions about any of the individual designs?
No.
I mean, I like them all. I mean, I like the designs. They're not that different from one another. I mean, I kind of like the Reinhold's one, with the tieredness of it, but you don't know if you're going to get that from whoever the rock layer is basically how you're going to get it. I mean, that's with the planters or not. I mean, it's in, I don't know. I mean,
there's different ways you can tell, like on the Elevate 97, you see how the lines are clean. So there's different ways you can buy your real rock. You can buy it in sheets.
I know.
Already put together, that's already pre-cut, and you can just lay it on a frame like this. Or let's just say for this one, you can do that and then enhance it by having see how there's like like the roughness on the different edges here. So
right.
That's the extra detail on a sign like that. But I mean, the way each presented is the way that company would have it built, because that's what they got their price quote at, is based off of that particular design.
Dean Hessier, the stone material on all of these signs, I'm assuming that's probably a veneer rather than full stone?
Cultured or regular?
I think most of them are a veneer, but when you get to something like this, there's some extra detail work in, because you can't just buy it like that, Dean. Like on the Reinhold one, you have to have a mason actually rough that up like that and add a little bit more.
So then the Reinhold sign would probably be full masonry.
I believe so. I mean, you'll have a veneer in some spots, but on the edges and the sides, I believe it's more masonry.
Okay.
Now, just to let you know, we are saving money. Whoever we pick, we are to forward to Village Board. We are saving money on it. One of our park maintenance staff used to work for a company in Green Bay who does a lot of the work for these sign companies, in terms of they typically dig out the area, and then they pour the footings that the sign sits on, and then they electric the line through it, up and out, so that all ready to go. The base is all ready to go for when the sign company comes in and does everything above ground. So park maintenance person who we hired about a year ago. Used to work for the company, the one that predominantly does most of that type of work for the, and he's put in hundreds of them. And so he can do that in-house. So that's probably saving us, I'm guessing, somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $4,000 to $7,000 by doing that in-house.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was all part of the bid as well.
Okay, so basically, what is everybody's druthers here? I mean, it comes down to design, I guess, basically.
Yep.
I like Reinhold, but I have one little last question about Mackie. With the metal on the bottom, can you have a dark metal? With the aluminum, can that be dark aluminum?
I'm sure it could be. I don't know if there would be a price difference or not. I mean, I know there was not a price difference when we were looking at the different colors of metal letters for our community center. Our community center and our building, you could pick different colors. I can't say for certain there's a price difference, but we did our community center, there was not. You just basically picked what color you wanted.
I like Reinhold.
They're all really nice, and I get the Reinhold, that side of it, the rough edge, and it's really cool looking. But the focal point to me is actually the electronic billboard itself, and is it worth $5,000 to spend on a rough edge?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say my top preference would be the Elevate 97 option one, with the Reinhold being the second choice. But yeah, I feel like the Elevate 97 one looks a lot more national parkish and incorporates a couple of different elements, the wood look and the stone and to me, I think that just looks a little more parkish.
Justin, I'll second your options.
So let's go a first and a second option. Are you guys comfortable doing that? First option would be what you're saying. Are you making a motion on that, Justin, or what are you doing?
Well, I just thought we were giving our opinions on what.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What was the cost on the Elevate?
55.
And the Reinhold was
7.
55,749.
Mm-hmm.
Another question is, do we want the 16 millimeter or do you want the 10 millimeter?
I would say 16 or 16 would be fine. I think the $10,000 difference in cost almost. Between the 16 and the 10, I don't know that. I mean, we have 16s everywhere else. That's just my opinion.
I'm gonna try something again here. Okay, there we go. So that's the pricing, and then
Someone want to make a motion to this? Which one they want to go with, and we can take. I mean, if we don't have a unanimous decision, it's not a big deal. I mean, we all like them, I think, so it's not. We can leave it to the village board. I mean, it's up to you guys what you want to do here, but.
Okay, Dean Hess, I'll make a motion to accept the Elevate 97 option 1.
I'll second. For the 16 millimeter sign.
16, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dean and a second by Justin. And Justin, just so you know, I'm going to be calling roll call on every vote on the votes here. So just so you know.
Okay.
So is there any other discussion on that?
I have a question, Mark. This is Mark. The styles with the wood on them, is that going to require more maintenance as the years go by than the ones with just stone?
I don't. Let me grab. I'm trying to find the packet here just to see the materials. If I'm remembering right, looking through all these, the material. So Elevate 97 is fabricated aluminum letters, 2-inch depth, mounted to an aluminum cabinet, flat cut aluminum letters, wood stain to be determined. So, I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know long term if one's going to be more maintenance needy than another. That's something that I can find out, after, if that's the one you're recommending, and I can bring that information to the village board if need be.
No, I was just thinking we should stay away from anything wood because that's going to deteriorate faster than the stone.
Sure. Now, my guess is it's not real wood, that it is that high density preformed material, because it's got the metal sign on top of it. It's just my guess. Which is why I'm wondering if we should do like here's our first choice and here's an alternate, just in case something didn't go the way you wanted it to in terms of material.
Yeah, well, when I mention stain, that usually indicates wood.
Well, they can stain that material any color. I mean, it's a standard material, and then they color it or they stain it in whatever shade that you want it. I think that's more of what that means on the sheet.
Well, on the pictures that you provided to us, it says wood/stain to be determined. So to me, that would indicate that it is going to be some type of wood product.
I don't know. I mean, it's something that I can find out and bring that forward to the village board with whatever your recommendation is. But again, if you wanted to pick a number 2 in case the village board, Mark, felt the same as you, that they didn't want actual used, then I would say have your second option out there for them to consider that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Is there anybody else have a question or anything?
Would
Do you guys want to propose an alternate or just leave it?
Oh, we have a motion right now for the first design. I mean, we'll see how this vote goes, Rex, and then we'll go from there.
All right.
Just so you know, 3 of these companies are Ashwaubenon companies. The Mackey, Reinhold, and Elevate 97 are Ashwaubenon companies. So Elevate 97 used to be Color Tech, or it's a division of it, I think, which is in Ashwaubenon as well. So just so there's no confusion on that, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the question and take a vote on this. But I want to make one comment first, is that I don't know if we've ever taken almost the highest bid before on a design that we've done before. So, I mean, just for those comments. So, all those in favor of using Elevate 97's option number 1, Mark Castonia?
No.
Deb Lundberg?
No.
Justin Minor,
Yes.
Dean, yes.
Yes.
Chris,
No.
and I'm going to say no as well. So motion fails right now. So we can go on to a second motion here, whether we want to take option number, if we want to go with a motion to accept option number 1 and option number 2 for our committee to report on the village board. We can do that, or we can just take another option that you want here. So.
Rex, can we move back to the costs? Me, I personally think, just my opinion, I thought Reinhold had, to my opinion, the best sign out there. But again, I'll go back to Mackey in saving the village, $4,000. To me, it goes back to the digital board. Are people going to recognize whether there's some wood around it? And I get what we want to accomplish here as far as, a forestry entrance, things like that.
Chris, I'm going to say something that probably, well, some people may not be happy about, but if everyone is specifically only going for the low cost, then I would rather rebid it and pay someone to design something so that everyone can bid on the same specs. Because if you're only going for the low cost, that is not how the bid was even set up.
Was presented.
What I mean?
Okay, I got you.
It was, hey, let's see what you can come up with design wise, and what unique features would make this sign look really neat, and show off the facility that we have.
Right.
And so if that was the case, then I would have paid a company to design a sign, and then everyone would be bidding on that same sign.
Okay.
I caution, I guess, rather redo it if the only thing people are worried about is the cost.
I respect that, and I did mention too, though, I thought that Reinhold probably had the nicer one than over my opinion, over the Elevate 97. But we got to be price conscious as well.
So do we have a new motion on something?
That's what I'm just going to ask, Rex. Is there a motion here that we want to propose? I'll make a motion that we take staff's recommendation myself to use Reinhold sign, option 1 for the 16 millimeter for $53,503.
Dean Hassel, second that.
We have a motion by myself and a second by Dean for using Reinhold. Anybody have any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so Mark Castonia?
Yes.
Deb Lundberg?
Aye.
Justin Minor?
Yes.
Dean Hess?
Yes.
Chris Zerbel?
Yes.
Mark Williams, I'll vote yes as well. Motion passes. So our recommendation to the village board is to go with the Reinhold sign bid as staff recommended. I know that everybody put a lot of effort into this, and
They did. I mean, I really, the design, I like, everyone's got their own little thing, how they interpreted what they could do. I liked them, and I definitely appreciate the fact everyone, spent the time to do the designs.
okay, sounds good. So this is coming out of TIF funds. It's not coming out of park development funds or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay, good. And I guess we'll move on to our next item here.
Yeah, before we go, just so everyone knows, I guess I didn't show this picture before. This is the sign that's coming down. The above, you can see it's been hit a couple of times by some larger trucks. And then on this cross beam right here, this cross beam is starting to
everybody should have got it in their packet and everything.
It's becoming unstable, so that whole cross beam and this sign will be coming down. That's vintage 1974 when the park was built.
How much was that sign then?
Not as much as the sign you just approved. And then this is also the entryway, and this is the current road sign. This will probably be the same rough location as where the new sign would go, whatever one they approve. You just take this out and redo it. There's an electrical box over here. We'd have Voss Electric run a line under the road, and then our guys would dig out the hole and pop out the line, and we'd take it from.
Okay, we'll move on. Thanks, Rex, for everything. Appreciate that.
Yep. It's good discussion. I knew this agenda item would be, because everyone's going to have which one they like, and it was good discussion.
Good. We'll move on to 8B, which is the 2020 Corp Plan Approval Request. We've been through this for how many months or a year now, maybe, since we started this process. Rex has put together the plan. It's in your packet of everything that's in there, and with the 10-year plan that's meant to be changed probably. We've all been through it before and seen it happen. Does anybody have any questions on this?
And if you do, say what page you're questioning, because all the pages are labeled. It's very similar to the plan that was approved back in 2014. It's just been updated as much as possible with statistics and some things that are in our current inventory. The trail sections have been updated because we've had a lot of extra trails added in. And then we have I think later on in the plan, I added in more information on trails. Only because we're in the near future, we're going to be applying for multiple grants on different trails, whether it be the Main Street or Main Avenue Trail or the Ashwaubenon River Trail. So I wanted to make sure everything we've talked about that was prominently in this plan, so that we get those points when we're applying.
So I do have one, just out of curiosity. If you scroll back just a little bit, Rex, on page 70, right there. Yeah, where the yellow areas. Now, if I'm understanding when I was reading this, because it was really fuzzy in the way I'm almost looks like here. So the yellow areas are potential new park areas because there's not proximity within a mile and a half,
half mile, I think it is,
or half mile of a neighborhood.
So this map is from that was approved. I want to say this is like back in about 2004, the original plan. And so this was back then. Rettler came up with this 15 years ago. So what they did, you can see all these different numbers. So they did a half-mile circle around every current park, and those yellow areas were parks that were not within a half-mile radius. And per NRPA, which is National Park and Recreation Standards, those areas should be identified for consideration, just so when people are looking at a comprehensive plan, there aren't any, Sahara Desert areas that people don't have a park to be able to go to. And so
right,
I want a lot of this area here, this one right in the middle, is a portion of the industrial park.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that there's no park there. You know, there are some scattered homes in the industrial park, but I don't know, by putting a park in this area, how much value overall we'd get versus putting in an amenity somewhere else within the village. But again,
Okay.
it's something that we have to show within a plan. And the
Okay.
other one I want to say is out more towards the airport area. And quite honestly, I still think we're good there, you know, with on the west side of Packerland, you know, there's not a lot of homes in Ashwaubenon there, and they're still within fairly easy distance of Smith Park and Pioneer Park.
Right, that's what I thought too. So it's not actually areas we're actively pursuing to purchase land.
No, they're just areas that we're supposed to identify that don't fall within that half-mile radius, which is I guess a national conservation guideline, you know, when you're identifying things in a comprehensive plan.
Right, okay.
If there's no other discussion on this, because we beat it to death, it seems like, over the months here, but we'll take a motion to approve the plan as presented, if you will, and plans are made to change, so that's what it is. It's a plan. So,
you know, I appreciate everyone's work on helping, especially with this. And I came out to some of the meetings in the parks themselves last summer. Some were well attended, and some were a little thin. But I appreciate everyone, you know, being involved and kind of hashing out of where all these things should go on the timeline. I think Mark, help me out here. I think we were able to get through that a little bit quicker this time around, you know, with our second go around, right?
yeah, you betcha.
Some good discussion.
Been knocking a lot of projects off, so which is a big help too, and you know, making the park really nice for the residents around the area. So does anybody want to make a motion to this effect?
I'll make a motion that we accept the Corp proposal as presented.
I'll second it.
A motion by Chris and a second by Deb to approve the Corp plan as presented. Any questions? Last time.
No, but Rex,
Mark Castonia.
Aye.
Deb Lundberg.
Aye.
Justin.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
Chris.
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. The motion passes. Does somebody want to say something on this?
Yeah, Chris. Read through all this. It's Rex. Great job on it. It's detailed but easy to read, well presented, and just really good information. And I know it was a lot of hard work you put into it, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Appreciate it. It was fun to do. You know, it's what I like to do. So a lot of busy work, but it was enjoyable doing. It was actually a nice project.
Good.
All righty, thank you very much. I'll move on to 8C, review and possible action on April department reports. Rex, do you want to go over some of that, or?
Yeah, I got some notes down here on my own. So, all right. So, it says parks here. This really should be recreation, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So, staff's been working obviously with the COVID-19. We're all working from home. All of our programming is up in the air. So, we're figure out what we can do to salvage the summer. But one of the things that unfortunately we've had to do is cancel a lot of community center permits. Unfortunately, a lot of them have been right around the graduation time, and we will probably be continuing to cancel them well into June. at least those that are in the larger room, just based on the numbers that we're hearing of how many people can gather at a time. So we've been trying to work with the renters on either canceling and getting refunds to them or pushing them into the fall, which a lot of people have taken that option as well. And then we're also listening in on and being part of daily Wisconsin Park and Recreation meetings for Zoom meetings and go-to meetings. You're going to see some stuff that we're working on. We're doing an online book club coming up. We're going to start ramping up. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Getting a little background noise. We're working on trying to get some online classes and online seminars through Zoom and through go-to meetings. And so we're working on setting some of those up so that some people still have, an option of doing some of our programming from home until the order is clear for them to be able to go out and about. We're still doing the food delivery as one of our routes and scheduling volunteers to go do the Meals on Wheels delivery. One of the big challenges that we think in some form, we hope that we can do is we hope we can still do day camp. Now, we won't be able to get into the schools until at least July 1st, but it's our intention to hopefully be able to do our day camp. We are trying to get clarification on whether our day camp can be considered childcare. If it can, then we'll be able to run it as it's been run in the past with modifications for safe distancing and cleaning procedures and minimizing the amount of people that come into the building and things like that. So we're working through some of those and things are changing literally every day. We will be bringing back some of the seasonal staff because it's just full-time that are working right now, and not all full-time are working right now. Once all full-time are coming back, which I believe are next week, then we'll be bringing a few of our seasonal staff back in to help with mowing operations, just because the grass isn't going to stop mowing or stop growing. So we'll be bringing some of those in next week, some of the seasonal guys, because all the full-time crews, with the amount of projects that are building up, the street work that needs to be done, the public works projects, they're going to be doing that. So we're going to need some help in the parks to keep them, at a minimum level. So we're not bringing all of them back, but we'll be bringing some of them back. One of the challenges we're looking at is obviously the lake and the pool. Will we be able to have a swim lesson program this summer? Will the lake even be open this summer? Under the guidelines, will we be able to open it? So we're waiting for clarifications and numbers on that. If we can't, that's a lot of part-time college staff that will not have a job, that was planning on having a job. So our worry, obviously, for the long term is that we're going to lose them and not get them back. So that being said, on our other summer part-time maintenance and potentially day camp, we've chosen not to hire anybody at this point, thinking that some of our returning aquatic staff, if we can't open the pools, will be slid over and then moved into other program areas. And so that hopefully then we can still give them some hours in doing something if they so choose. There's a lot of stuff going on with the COVID-19. And I guess before I even go any further, does anyone have any questions on what we're doing or what some of the challenges are with COVID-19 or any comments of what's happening out there? We've taken down the basketball rims as well as the tennis nets, just because we had some nets up in March and they were not being used properly, but there was a lot of people using them and almost starting to congregate, including at the tennis courts. And really, by leaving any facilities up and available for use, they're supposed to be available for use by families or members of people living in the same household. When that wasn't happening and it was getting a little sketchy and worse, and we were getting a lot of calls, public safety was getting a lot of calls, we decided to take the nets and the rims down. And we will probably keep them down until we feel comfortable putting them back up. That being said, parks are still open. I've seen a lot of people out in the open areas playing and walking. I have told people they can still use the ball diamonds as long as it's with members of their immediate family, i.e. no team practices, and like 10 kids getting together for a pickup game or anything like that. As long as it's mom or dad or brother or sister pitching or throwing or practicing with members of their own immediate family, we're good with that. So at this point, those options are still out there for people. COVID-19 thoughts or comments?
So what is the potential for a financial impact from lack of programs and lack of admission to the, I assume if we're not open at all, for instance on the lake, then we're not generating a whole lot of expenses, but by the same token, we're also not generating a whole lot as far as
well, there won't be any revenue.
Incoming funds.
Yeah, and so we are trying to figure out, working backwards, how much does it cost per day, and then what would the potential attendance numbers be were we to open? Would people feel more comfortable going to the lake because they could spread out more versus some of the other aquatic facilities, within Brown County? We're not really sure, but we've got some different dates. It's kind of like, well, how do we want to do this? If it's not open by this date, do we go on with the season? So those are kind of fluid right now. We're going back and forth, trying to figure some of that stuff out. Obviously, we don't have the revenue from the community center with the permits. We've got the heat turned down to a minimum in the building since most of us are working from home. Obviously, we don't have revenue from some of the classes that are going on, although our goal is to try and get a couple online and see if we can get people to sign up through those for Zoom. And though when you sign up, then you'd get a code to go into that program. The whole village is hurting. I mean, you're not getting the hotel tax revenue. You're not getting revenue from businesses. You're not getting sales. They're not getting, the sales tax. And that's what's obviously causing a lot of consternation right now, Justin. Park and Rec is no different. You're right. I mean, we don't have the expenses, but some of the programs we made helped cover a lot of the other and stuff like that need to be paid, whether we've got revenue coming in or not. So it's going to be a challenge this next year, but I think we'll get through it.
Okay.
Moving on with forestry. Sellner Tree Care is doing the tree trimming contract in the northwest corner of the village around Sherwood Forest and the Smith Park area out towards Packerland. That's generally the general area that it's being done. That's considered a public works project since it was bid out. And so they're actually working. They finished the first management area and they're starting to work on the second one. So that's been plugging along. And then the village board also approved at last month's meeting bonding for the emerald ash borer. Our village forester, Tim Bauknet, is working on bid specs to have the ash trees in the village taken down. And there's a lot. There's well over 1,000, if not more, between street trees and park trees that need to be removed. And then that also includes stump grinding and planting new trees. That will probably be put in or phased in over 5 years, but the bonding was approved for that at the last village board meeting. So we got that going on. Finally, on this last page, it says recreation. This is actually the parks portion of it. We talked a little bit about the basketball bin or rims being removed. Community center permits are on hold, as well as the park registration. We are submitting a grant application for the Main Avenue Trail to try and connect into the pier from Sand Acres Drive to the traffic circle. We're working with McMahon on getting some information on getting additional easement rights. I think we probably need about 2 or 3 extra feet on a number of properties along that route to be able to put the trail in. So a lot of behind the scenes work on that with the property owners before we actually move forward with that. But that work has started. And also, last but not least, at the very bottom here, Sports Complex redevelopment. We had a pre-construction meeting this morning with Peters Concrete. Peters Concrete got the bid for the plaza redevelopment, so we were on site with them today, practicing social distancing, of course. But we were on site today with them and Rettler, who's the architects on the project. And so it looks like they will probably be starting in about a month. Their best guess was mid to late May, where that work is going to be done. And again, that's redoing that whole plaza area, putting in a new walkway, lessening the amount of maintenance that needs to be done, as well as putting in a pass-through, a 3-lane pass-through between the 2 parking lots, the north and the south lot. Does anyone have any questions?
Rex, question on the Ashwaubenon Fox River Trail. How's that going with trying to get a bridge in there?
It's going well. We are going to village board next week with a potential choice of architect. And once that is decided, it'll be decided next week at village board. Then we will start working on actual designs and starting to go through some of the permit processes and public input sessions as well. In October, there is a couple of there's one grant that we'll be applying for. We might be able to get a portion of that if we get for the fishing bump out, where people can actually fish from the bridge, the middle of the bridge. If we do a bump out, it'll pay for part of the access to that area. So there's a couple of grants that are out there that are on our radar screen that I've been working on and trying to read up on. So we're starting to write already.
Okay. Any other questions for Rex right now? Okay, thanks, Rex.
Yep.
Number 9, items for next agenda. Does anybody have anything that they want to see or that's pressing right now, I guess? We don't know if we're going to be doing this again next month or not right now. This is the first one that I've been associated with or had to. I know next week we got our village board meeting, but I believe we are going to try to do that at Village Hall. Some people might be calling in, but I think that for the most part it's going to be there. But so I mean, if anybody's got anything, just make sure you check with Rex or Susie or myself, and we'll try to get it on the agenda for you.
One question: if we happen to have the same format for the next meeting, would that access code be the same?
You'd probably be sent a new access code. Typically, they're a new code for every meeting. Typically.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, this was enjoyable. I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Debbie.
And a motion by Dean, a second by Deb. I'm going to just go all in favor. Please say aye.
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 And all you guys have a good, safe Time.
Yeah, thanks,
Yes, you
thanks
too.
everyone for getting on board here with this format. I thought it worked pretty good under the circumstances.
Good job, all.
And Jeremy,
Alrighty.
thank you for setting it up.
Yes, Jeremy, thank you.